Welcome to my videos and be sure to subscribe to my channel, so you can get the latest information. A series of floods and typhoons are hitting Manila in the Philippines, causing unexpected flooding especially in the Marikina region. Manila has been plagued by chronic flooding, and every time it rains, all eyes are on the flood level markers on the Manila Bridge. There was great fear that the floods would inundate their hometowns. A third typhoon in the Philippines caused severe flooding in Manila, trapping people on rooftops and killing at least 2 people in parts of the city on November 26. Typhoon Vamco made landfall overnight and swept across the country's largest island, Luzon, at speeds of up to 155 kilometers, 96 miles per hour. One of the hardest hit areas in Manila was Marikina City, where water levels reached 80 centimeters in some streets. Many residents fled in the flood waters, with elderly people with mobility problems being swept away. A small dog fell into the water and was swallowed up by the flood. Cars on the road were also swept away. As one survivor recalls, "I saw the raging water coming towards me. I ran back to my house as fast as I could and rushed to get my appliances and sofa out of the house. My wife was still sleeping at the time, and the flood had flooded our vegetable garden. I woke up my wife, who was still sleeping, and my children. The whole street in Manila was flooded and people were climbing on the roofs to survive and waiting for help. So many people were trapped on roofs or trapped on the second floor of houses. Some areas that historically have not been flooded, such as City Hall, were submerged. At least 2 people are dead and 4 others are missing in North Camarines. 8 people were injured. Be sure to watch this video and be sure to forward it to your friends. Schools have been empty since the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic in March, with gymnasiums used as emergency shelters, and about 180,000 people in evacuation centers. Weather services warned that life-threatening storm surges in parts of the coast, including Manila, could inundate low-lying areas. Flood warnings were issued in many towns north of the capital as authorities ordered dams to release water. Vaco, which grazed the Bicol region before making landfall, was hit by strong winds and heavy rains Wednesday as the typhoon sighted close to the disaster-prone archipelago. There was a huge boom and everything disappeared from those houses within seconds. Flash floods and people were buried by landslides. The Cagayan River winds its way through the north, stretching for more than 300 miles. It is one of the longest and most beautiful rivers in the country, and is considered a source of abundance in life. 24 of Cagayan's 28 barangays are in floodwaters. The once picturesque river has turned into a black sea, killing dozens of people and triggering deadly landslides. The floods have affected 8 regions and 3 million people. 70 people have lost their lives. Military personnel and police have been forced to deliver relief by air and evacuate hundreds of survivors from rooftops to safety. Most of the deaths have occurred in the low-lying suburbs of Cainta and Rizal, east of the capital Manila. The streets of Marikina City in the Manila region were flooded by typhoon-triggered floodwaters, and a soaked rat drifted through nearly 2 meters of water on a plank, eventually climbing onto a roof to escape. A man in the Philippines was not troubled by the bad weather, but because the water in his house was so bad, he simply used his living room as a swimming pool and enjoyed swimming. With 80 centimeters of water in his home, the situation is very dangerous. Be sure to watch this video and be sure to forward it to your friends. The Philippines has experienced weeks of torrential rains that have caused massive flooding. It was one of the worst floods in decades. The rising water and landslides killed hundreds of people, killed thousands of animals, and destroyed over 7,200 hectares of crops. Luzon suffered the most agricultural losses with over 1.3 billion pesos, followed by Cagayan with 1.12 billion pesos in losses. As of now, some 34,328 families with about 139,866 people are still in evacuation centers, while 12,829 families with about 46,848 people are being rescued outside emergency shelters. Several provinces in Manila were flooded, affecting 3.8 million people and killing at least 73. In the Philippines, the typhoon affected more than 3.8 million people and caused nearly 13 billion pesos in agricultural and infrastructure losses. Authorities evacuated 21,000 residents in Metro Manila's Marikina City as river levels reached dangerous levels. Some residents took refuge on rooftops, but could not wait for help and tweeted for help. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can get the latest information.